Good morning. My name is Tom. I am going on a hike today up into Mud Pond, and I didn't know maybe you might want to come along. So it's well, I think it's January 7th. It's about 8 degrees, I guess. And if you can see in the background, you see the frost and stuff that's on the trees. So today's I'm headed into Mud Pond, like I said. I brought along some deer steaks and some baked potatoes and stuff. I'm gonna get a fire built, and I'm just gonna have lunch in there and see where this day takes us. But I stopped here on the hike in because I wanted to show you one of the reasons that I do not carry store-bought tinders with me, like fire starters and stuff like that. I'm gonna get behind the camera here for a minute, and I'm gonna take a spin around, and I want to show you there is miles and miles and miles of cattails. Now you can take the grass that's around the stems, and there is, like I said, I know this swamp. I have lived on this swamp for 35 years. This cattail patch is 2 miles wide, and it is 3-4 miles deep. So you will never ever run out of tinder in this swamp. But that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up, is that in your hunting area, search out these places, because even in the wintertime, when there is 6 feet of snow, these cattails sometimes will still be sticking up, where you can get enough of the grasses from the leaves where you can build yourself a grass nest. But today, like I said, you see the frost on the trees, so today everything kind of has a dampness about it. So it's going to take a little extra. And that's where in my pack, I pack along a little bit of chaga, and I also pack along some punkwood, raw punkwood. I have the charred punkwood for getting my first ember, but I also carry a good sized chunk of raw punkwood. And I transfer the ember into that raw punkwood because it's easier to come by than the chaga is. I find chaga, but I save it for the special occasions. But I get that punkwood lit, the raw punkwood, and then I can stick that into one of these grass nests from the cattails that you see. And even with a little bit of dampness, I can get it dried out with that punkwood, and I can get my bird's nest to take fire. But also in these situations, this is another case where your stick bundles would be a little bit probably better and easier to find. I'm going to head up into the swamp. It's probably about another mile and a half walk. So I'll be searching out some of those sticks, and we'll stop. There's a few things I want to show you up in this swamp. But this is why I like to say I am a swamper. There are so many materials here for building, fire building, building a shelter, swamps, and the animals are here. We're crossing tracks. Seems like every corner I take, I'm crossing coyotes, I'm crossing some fox, just a little bit of everything. But it'll be interesting to see what we come across. So I'm just going to take you for a spin around here on the tripod so you can see how many cattails are here. And like I said, every once in a while we'll stop. But maybe you want to come along today, and we'll see what this day carries for us. Alrighty, welcome back. Alright, now I'm going to take you for a spin. Try to do it slow so you don't get too dizzy and all that. But I just want to take you for a big circle here and show you all the cattails that are here. And you know, once again, just, you know, hunt out them areas. Hunt out the areas that are around your hunting grounds that has stuff like this. And that way, if you do get into a pickle, you're not really in a pickle, because you know exactly where to go, because you've already been there. You've hunted this stuff out. It doesn't have to be as big a swamp as this. I've found cattails in just little small bodies of water, but I have yet to probably be in a hunting ground unless I'm up on a mountaintop somewhere. But if you're down in the lowlands, cattails are your easiest form of grass materials that you can find in the wintertime. Everything else is buried, with the exception of stick bundles, and I've done several videos now on stick bundles, but this right here just give you an idea of where I am and where I'm headed today. But as you can see, there is no shortage of cattails. So I'm going to spin the camera up and give you another little direction. In that direction there, roughly about a mile and a half, is a little spot called Mud Pond. To the left of it, I know that the deer are yard up in there during the winter time. And so I don't know if I'll actually get into the yard today. My main purpose today is just come out and have a good time in the swamp and just see what's going on up in here. It's something that is great to do, especially in northeasters. This is really good walking. It's a really good hike. And sometimes I hike myself up into Mud Pond during a nor'easter, get myself a campfire built, and just kind of hang out for the afternoon and listen to the snow, and then head for home afterwards. Beats the heck out of sitting around on a couch. So, hey, we'll see you in a few minutes. Alrighty. As you can see, I've worked my way out of the cattails. Those are behind me. I just wanted you to see now we're into a hardwood forest. We're still in the swamp. Some of the biggest deer that I've moved out of this swamp was right in this area here. I had an enormous one. I didn't get him, but he crossed right over there where you can see the ends of those cattails. He come out of that hardwood forest to the right, jumped across there, and then he went up this peninsula, and I never could get in front of him. But anyways, that was one of my fun days out here. But I'm going to shut the camera off and I'm going to spin you around, and you can see to the left of me. Yeah. Now I'm still on the stream. This stream runs up through here. You can canoe it for pretty near 5 miles. And then it just gets into smaller and smaller and smaller and not very good. But remember when you're deer hunting, canoe is a huge asset to deer hunting. I've pulled several deer out of this swamp with a canoe. Roughly a 2-mile canoe ride. I got three tree stands and about 5 ground blinds up in here. And it's just been a great place to hunt. I've hunted here since I was about 22 years old. So check out your swamps. Come down off the hills there a little bit. You might find some great big old swamp bucks down close to your home, and just not very far away. So, but anyways, I just want to show you the stream that I have hunted for several years. All right, I got something I wanted to show you here. Where I am headed is to the back side of that big pine tree you see there, just about straight ahead. But as you can see to the left of that, that's the stream coming out of Mud Pond. Now normally that stream is froze up nice and tight. You can walk in there just about any time during the winter. But what's going on here right now, in the snow, and I'm going to swing you around over here and suck you in. What we have here on this stream, and a lot of them, I'm going to zoom in, right there, straight ahead. That right there is a beaver hut. It's called a bank beaver, and I call them the laziest beavers that there are because they don't build dams. And there could be anywhere from 5 to 10 beavers living out of that hut. And up through this stream, sometimes they build a massive one. But I think what's going on here is I believe that they are, and you got to be careful around here. That's the other reason I wanted to show you this. They got to come out of that house in the wintertime, and they come under the ice, and so around this area there could be air holes and air pockets that they use for breathing, as well as getting their food and all that stuff. So you want to be super careful when you spot something like this. From a distance it doesn't even look like anything, but I have lived here for a long time and realize, wow, what a bank beaver's hut looks like. It's not like a regular beaver dam where you've got a big pond and you got a beaver house that's out in the middle of it. These are bank beavers, and that's about as much work as they do right there. So what I do when I come across an area like this is I give it a wide berth. I want to go straight across, and normally I can, but this year I see some bank beavers have moved in there. So I will give this a wide berth. I will go upstream, probably another, I don't know, 75 yards or so, and then I will cross the stream and cut down through the woods to get back into Mud Pond. But I thought you might find that interesting, as well as just something you look for when you're out in the wild, and stay clear of it. It is one of those dangerous places that you could find yourself very wet on a cold day. And I am a rabbit hunter from many years ago, and I have fallen into 1 or 2 beaver bogs through the years while chasing dogs through the woods. So it is one of those areas to really use caution around. So I will see you on the other side. There's the beaver hut. I'm just going to spin you around so you can see where I'm going to head upstream. And upstream you can see that it's good and safe, and we'll find a nice spot across the lake. I mean, not lake, but across the stream. And if I was coming up here and I got stuck up here and needed a place to hunker down for the night, if you look over to my left, you'll see a huge hemlock tree sitting there. Them are the things that I scout out, because under there I can get a nice little campfire built. I can snuggle in close to the stump, and I could build myself a nice little campfire, and I could spend the night in there quite comfortably. So, you know, the rest of the forest around here is a hardwood forest, so there's not really too many places that you can hunker into for a night. But that's one of the areas that I would definitely scout out and see if it was a possibility for spending the night. Here's a little different view of the bank beavers over there. I just brought you upstream just a little bit, and just give you, I could see in a little bit tighter, but you see all that brush that's out front of it? You definitely wouldn't want to be walking in that area. What they do is they pile up brush on the shoreline. I'm not even sure if they dig into the bank that much, but that's how they do it on the stream. Like I said, I've lived here for 35 plus years, and been watching these guys for that many years, so. But that's what they do. And that's the live water over there just around the corner. You can see it's coming out, so you want to make sure, like I said, give it a wide berth. This is a look back at the swamp as I come through. It's just very easy going. Makes for a really nice hike up through the swamp in the wintertime. Very safe as long as you wait until everything is froze up, and you can go for miles and miles and miles on a set of snowshoes and just plain get out and enjoy the great outdoors. I am up on the bank across the river now, and I call it a river. It's only a stream, but there's no fast water in this thing. That's why swamps freeze up early. They freeze up strong, just with a couple of odd spots here and there that you have to pay attention to. But hug the shoreline if you get in an area where you're not quite sure. Hug the shoreline. Right over here is that open water around that beaver bog. But just thought you might enjoy the look back. And I am finally over to Mud Pond. I got some other things I'm going to show you. I have just come up onto the bank. And it's another reason why I don't carry too many store-bought fire starters and stuff like that. I've stepped up onto the bank up here, and I have come across, I'm going to go look, but it looks like I can see from where I'm standing right now, it looks like I can see 5 or 6 stumps that would have punkwood in it. And I've also got a pine tree off to my right that looks like I can find all of the fat wood that I would possibly need to build a fire. So this stuff is out here, and you hear me talk about it often in my videos. But learn what's out here for natural materials, and you won't have to rely on just a few supplies that you can lug. Well, I've showed you earlier in this video all of the cattails that's back there. Now I'd like to go over here and check out these half a dozen stumps. A couple of them look like they're full-grown trees that have turned to punkwood. If that's the case, then there is so much punkwood there that you couldn't possibly burn it all up. Same thing with the fat wood that I found in a pine tree over here. Once I get over and check it out, I've been near enough pines that I cannot imagine that there's not enough fat wood in the limbs themselves to build a nice fire. So I will go check them out with you. And one more reason not to carry store-bought tinders with you. There, right in front of me is a pine tree that has lots of low limbs up at that sharp angle that I like. So at the base of those tree limbs should gather enough enough fat wood to be able to build a fire. And I'm standing right here. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's at least a dozen of those pine trees to my left and to my right, as well as stumps of punkwood. So I just wanted to show you that tree and show you that, and we will go over there and gather some fat wood off it. Hello there. I'm just off the riverbank. I'm about 10 feet from the stream, and I've come across this stump right here. And as you can see, it's not the best punkwood, but it would definitely work. It's spongy, it's dry, so you could get big chunks out of this. I see over there, I think there's another huge tree standing there, so I want to go over there and check that one out at the same time. So we will move over there and we will check that one out. But look for stuff like this when you're in the woods. You can turn that into some charred punkwood and have all the tinder you possibly could use. I got sidetracked. I've left that stump over there. I'm headed for that stump. Maybe you can see in the background. But as I was coming here, I come across a cedar tree. Cedar trees, you could take that bark off there, chop into this tree. You might find this is some of the best kindling that you can get when it comes to kindling for your fire, the small stuff. It doesn't get any better than a cedar tree. This has your bird's nest in it. It also has your small twigs, your small wood, everything. So remember a tree like this when you're out doing your travels. Remember how to find this tree and other ones like it. Look for them. In the main forest, they're here. This is what's called a white cedar. We do not have red cedar in this state. We have all white. And you just keep going. You keep going like that. Look at that little bit of scraping. And I managed to get that much. So working at it, you could have a nice little bundle. Really easy. Scrape it off, put it in your pocket. Like I said earlier today, everything is just a little bit moist today. If you put this right here inside of your shirt pocket and just let it set there, by the time you want it, it will be bone dry and it will take a spark. So we're going to move over to that stump that I spotted, and we'll get there eventually. But my point here today is in a small walk, you'll come across lots and lots of tinder material, especially in this forest in the state of Maine. That is one thing that I love about our forest is materials are here for our taking. I hope that you have forests like this. Like I said, I've crossed a half a dozen ways to build a fire in the 20-foot span of leaving the stream bed. So search out these areas. I'll see you over at the stump. Welcome back. I'm at that tall stump. This is the top of it. You probably can't see, but it's about 6-7 feet tall. I would imagine, it's hard to tell, but I would imagine this is an old. It looks like maple from that little bit of bark that I can see there. But this right here is perfect. Again, I'm about 30 feet from the river bank, but this is full of punkwood. Good quality punkwood. It's a little bit damp from all the snow and rain that we've been getting up here. But as you can see, nice and spongy, not rotten, and a whole stump's worth. That's why I push punkwood in the state of Maine. This stuff is easy to come by. There's 1, 2, 3. I see another one over here I want to go check out. It looks like it's about 1.5 feet across stump. I just want to go look at it. I'll bring you along so you can see. It's probably 30, 40 feet away. But look at the punkwood. I mean, it's just with a tin, it'd be all day turning this into charred punkwood. That's why I say the old woodsmen of this country, they did not carry char cloth. Why would they? Think about it. Why would they carry charred cloth? This stuff is everywhere. This is what they used. If they had a tin with them, they would stick it in the fire like we do today. And at the time that they didn't have tins, they put it on a stick and they roasted it like a marshmallow over the campfire. They got their first fire built, and at nighttime when they were doing their chores and for their next fire, they made sure they had some charred punkwood for their next fire. Their life depended on it. They didn't want to be cold, plus they had to eat. But there you go. There's so much punkwood in this stump that I could not possibly lug it back to camp and turn it into charred punkwood. I would need to make trips. So find your punkwood, enjoy it. It is a great resource for the sportsman. Great resource. I wish I had a bucket today. But I'm, like I said, I'm a couple miles back in the woods. I'm out on Mud Pond. I'm going to get a fire built here. I am going to have some baked potatoes today out here. I am going to smoke up some deer meat, and that's going to be my lunch. And I'm just plain going to enjoy the swamp today. I scout while I'm out here. I have been crossing more coyote tracks than I've seen out here in the past. If you want to help your deer population, start hunting coyotes. That's all I can say on that for this point. I will be doing some videos on that subject later on, but what a beautiful find. What a beautiful find. Here's the stump that I came to look at as far as having some punkwood in it. And if I'm going to take you to the right just a little bit. Right there is another stump that is, I am sure, would be very good punkwood. So right here, just within a few feet, is so much punkwood that the forest is full of it. I know, I've probably been talking about punkwood way too much on this trip, but I like punkwood, and this is why I like punkwood. It is absolutely everywhere in the Maine forest. And then if you turn around and back of me, I will spin you around. Just for gravy for this spot, there is cedar trees, there is punkwood, and right behind me is 2 white birch trees, which would give me all the birch bark that I could possibly use. There is lots of blowdowns in this area to use for shelter as well as for firewood. This would make a nice spot to spend the night. Lots of firewood, lots of shelter, and a great view behind me. So I will spin you around because I want to show you them white birch trees, and then I will move on. Here's that stump I found. And as you can see, this stump as well is full of good quality punkwood. Here's the top of it. It's on the ground. Even it is still good, but you have to be careful of the punkwood that's on the ground. Sometimes it is just plain rotten wood, and this one has not gone to that point yet. So this could be turned into charred punkwood. So just wanted to show you what is out here in this wonderful, wonderful swamp that I like to hunt and fish on. Here's the best view of Mud Pond. Right now it's in the fall. That's where it's like January. The water is low. You come here in the spring, that is full of water. You can canoe it quite easily. And up on the other end of this, it goes through, I don't know, 300 yards of woods. And then you can get into a really nice pond. But this is one of my favorite places in the wintertime to come and have a cup of coffee during a northeaster. It's just a wonderful, wonderful time. So, but right now, the deer yard up to the left of me over here. But as you can see out there, it's not froze over all the way across yet. So there's no way that I can cross in there today to go look for deer sign. But normally I would. It would probably be another 2 or 3 weeks before we can get in there. But I'd like to go in and just see what's going on later on in the wintertime. But I wanted you to just have a view of Mud Pond. Now I can't sit here and build a fire. There is no firewood where I am standing right now. So as I got other videos that are out and coming up, that the easiest thing to do in this situation is to move me to the firewood. So if I was in an emergency situation where it was close to dark and I needed to have a place to hunker down, I would be moving myself to the wood pile. So you would go for a scout, you would go for a hike, and you would move yourself to where there is a big pile of lumber that you can turn into a fire for the night, so that you do not spend hours and hours gathering up firewood to survive the night. So I will be moving myself to the right. I've already been over there looking at those stumps. I have found lots of blowdowns that I can turn into stick bundles, as well as get myself a campfire built. I just wanted to come over here and give you a view of Mud Pond and why I am back here. This is a nice place to sit. So you have a great time, and I will bring you along, and we will go from there. Brought you over here. This is the other side of that bank beaver lodge, and it's also downstream of where I came in today. What I wanted to show you is these lazy beavers. Right here is where they've been coming out of the water. See right there, they swim up that open water channel there, come out of the bank, and I've seen where they've come up. They come right up onto the shore here where I'm standing, and they're taking all the little hardwoods, chipping them off and probably bringing them back with them. But there you go. They don't even have enough energy to chop themselves a hole. There's actually two runs over there. There's 2 spots. You probably can't see them, but there's the first one. And right up there in the center of the screen is the second one, where they just pop out of that little water there and go munch down on some hardwood trees, I suppose. But anyways, I just thought you might want to see that. So I'll back you out again where you can get a good view. And there's my downstream back towards home. So just a beautiful, beautiful place to come hang out. Welcome back. All right, now what I've decided to do here is I've decided I'm going to build my fire today out of the fat wood that I get out of this limb. Now I haven't cut into it yet, but I am that confident that there is fatwood in that limb because I have searched it out before. This is the kind of limb that I'm looking for that has fatwood in it, and this is a pine tree. So I'm going to build my fire out of the fatwood that I find in here, and then over on the other side I found a couple of cedar trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a nest with the bark that's on that white cedar. I'm going to light this, then I'm going to put this into my cedar nest, and that's how I'm going to get my fire built today. So I just wanted to bring you on so you to see. I want to use stuff that we find out here every time I build a fire because it is here, and it is important to learn how to use what's out here, and it's important to learn what to look for, because it is that handy to find. As long as it's like going to a refrigerator, you know what a gallon of milk is. You take out a gallon of milk and you have a glass of milk. It's that simple. It's the same thing when you're in the outdoors. It's just like opening up the refrigerator. If you come out here and you know what you're looking for, you know what a potato is, you know what a gallon of milk is. Out here is the same thing. Learn what fatwood is, learn what punkwood is, and then it's out, open the refrigerator. Open up, take your punkwood, open it up, take your fatwood. Open it up, take your cedar bark. So it's that simple. I realize that on YouTube and on other stations, they kind of make it more complicated than it really is. Just learn what they are, practice your craft, and it is that simple. Everyday skills that you have at home, you can bring out here and turn them into the skills that you need to have a good day out here, a comfortable day, thriving day. Have fun when you're out here. So, enough of that. I'm just going to take this limb. This is a beautiful limb. This is a pine limb off that pine tree. I hope you can see that. Right in there. All that red, see that circle? That circle of red? That's all fatwood. You can smell it. It's a foot away from my nose and I can smell it. It's good quality fatwood. So, one limb, one tree, all the fire I need. We will build a fire with this limb. Welcome back. This is that piece of fatwood that we harvested off that pine tree. I've got my wood pile together, I've got my twigs together, but I wanted to show you that the fatwood that we're using is coming off this log right here. Not log, but this limb. Now what I keep in my pack, this is just down in the bottom of my pack, real light, real easy, it rounds so I don't feel it in there. This is a side of a 55-gallon plastic drum, just a little piece I keep down there for in the winter time. I drag this out and it makes a really good table to scrape my fatwood onto or whatever I'm working with. So I'm going to start out and make sure you can see. I'm going to start out with just getting the bark off here. It's nothing that I need. You can see right there. See that red? That is perfect fatwood. Handy in the woods, just waiting for me to pick it up. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this little piece here to get my fatwood. Well, maybe it's slippery. that log. Everything's covered with ice. Beautiful fatwood. I guess you really can't see though, can you? Well, let me spin around. How's that? That better? All right. I take this, you can use the backside of your knife. I use that in a minute. But right now, I just want some big chunks. Because what I'm going to do with these chunks is I've gone out and I've scraped off some, with the backside of my knife, the 90-degree edge, I've gone out and already scraped off some cedar bark. So all I got to do now is just get a little fat wood here. And sometimes, most of the time, you can light cedar bark without fat wood. But in today's case, everything's a little bit moist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fertilize my cedar bark with this this fat wood. So now that I've got that, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 90-degree end of my knife and I'm just going to scrape the end of this. And all I'm doing is getting some fine shavings for my tinder bundle. You see that? All the fat wood you want. Good fat wood, nothing wrong with that. Right out here in the great outdoors. Just waiting. Just waiting for us to pick it up. Alrighty, so I got that. And you can see I've chopped off some fat wood there. I'm going to turn the camera around and go over to where we're going to have the fire, and then I will light this fat wood and dump it into my my cedar bundle. It is wintertime. Grasses are hard to come by. We did go through the cattail swamp there, but today's little exercise for me is cedar bark, fat wood, and on my pile of fat wood. I mean my pile of firewood for building my lunch fire. So I will be right back with you. Alright, you should be able to see that I've got a fire base there. I've got lots of twigs, and I've got my little bit of cedar that's over there. So now we're going to light the fat wood, put it into the cedar nest, and then go from there. Alright, I got my fire steel, I got my fat wood. I am going to rough up this cedar just a little bit more. What I did was I took the spine of my knife and got the real fine stuff off them trees. So it makes for quite a nest. But if you feel it, it's just a little bit damp today. So I will wrap it up in that. And once I get that fat wood lit, now we could put a piece of chaga in here and do the same thing. We could put a piece of chaga in here and do the same thing. I'm going to tip that camera up. I can tell it's going to be a terrible angle for what I want to do. There you go. There's the fat wood. Right out of the woods. No fuss, no muss. Take your time. You want that stuff to just catch in there. Don't smother it at this point. Let it grow. Let it grow. See how easy that was? You thought it was going to go out, didn't you? Don't smother it. Let it lap up through there. Everything's under control. I've already got this. You've got this and stuff ready to go. That's how easy it is to build a fire. I see on YouTube a lot of people say you never know if you can get a fire built or not. You can get a fire built every single time you try. It just takes a little bit of practice. I have been building fires for 50 years. It is not difficult. You just have to have your stuff ready, realize what some of the materials are, and your campfire will go. I've heard guys say no guarantee, get a fire built. There better be a guarantee, or you're not much of a woodsman. So I'm going to turn the camera off here for a minute, gather some more firewood, and I'm going to get my deer meat ready to throw on once this burns down just a little bit. There's our stick of fat wood. It's easy to come by. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to throw it into my campfire here, and it will become part of my campfire today. So I hope you learned something with the fat wood and the cedar. It is in the main forest. Real easy to come by, especially in a swamp. Swamps are known for their cedar trees. I'm going to shut off now, let this simmer down, and then I will get some deer steak out, some potatoes, bake some potatoes, season up my deer steaks, and I am going to have a swamp lunch today, fit for a king. So thank you for joining me, and I will bring you back in a few moments. Welcome back. I wanted to thank you for joining me today out here in the swamp. You saw I got a fire built there. But what I wanted to point out is that I have a fire bag with me. And the fire bag, I've had it, I could put a link to it in the bottom of the description here. But in my fire bag, I have everything I need to start a fire. But I don't tie into that bag unless I have to. There's birch bark in there, and there's other fire starters. Like I said, I'll put a link to it so you can see what I keep in my fire bag. But I was able to harvest within a few feet of where this campfire is, everything I needed to build a fire. As I said earlier, knowing what's in the refrigerator is half the battle. Finding that piece of fat wood on that pine tree gave me the fat wood that I needed to put into my bundle of white cedar bark. The fine shavings, knowing how to harvest them shavings so that they'll work in a fire like that. Having your twigs and stuff ready. Within just a few minutes of gathering my stuff, I was able to have that fire is 2 feet tall right now. And I put a layer of logs on the bottom, and what that's going to do for me is as this burns down, it's going to create a really nice bed of coals. I won't have to touch that fire. Probably the rest of the time I'm here cooking my lunch. I plan on being here a couple of hours. It'll take me probably half hour or so just to bake the potato. I intend on enjoying the swamp today. So I will turn you to the fire later on as things are cooking. But right now we're just allowing the fire to kind of percolate there and turn from a flame into coals. So thanks a lot for coming along. It is a nice day out here in the swamp today. A little bit chilly, but nothing too awful bad. I think it's something like 10 degrees, something like that. But as you can see, I don't dress too heavily anyways. You will see even when I ice fish, I don't wear too awful much more than this. I do not look like I fell out of an LL Bean catalog, let me tell you that. But I'm always a little bit nervous of people that look like they fell out of a catalog with all the, you know, the pretty clothes and all that. Not that I'm knocking it. I like nice clothes too. But it's been my experience that the man that knows the most out in the woods and the one you'd probably want to follow doesn't look like he fell out of a magazine or out of an LL Bean catalog or Gander Mountain catalog and fell into the woods. The men that I know, they dress like woodsmen and they act like woodsmen and they have the skills of woodsmen. So those are the guys that I kind of tag along with and the guys that I kind of find to go out and do this stuff with. It is a big piece of woods up here. It takes a little bit of knowledge so that you can thrive and just plain be comfortable. So enough of that, and I'm going to enjoy this fire. So I will bring you back every now and then to check on my steak and check on my progress. Brought you in real quick. You can see I got my deer meat is on the spick. I've got a couple of baked potatoes in the fire, and all I've done is put up a little crotch stick there, driven back into the snowbank, and I will turn them, and I am going to have deer steak. To me, if you put too much seasoning on a deer steak, you probably don't like deer meat. Save your seasoning for your beef and your pork. Cook this stuff right off the bone and enjoy that wild flavor that you cannot get from store-bought meat. She's a cooking. Them end pieces are almost finished. Hey Kenny, I know you watch my videos, so I just want to say, hey, here's some deer steak. Wish you was here. So, just gonna rub it in just a little bit. Hey, Kenny. Hey, I'd like to also say hi to my two grandsons, Joshua and Caleb. Caleb, Joshua, this is what Papa does. When you get a little bit older, I would like to bring you out and have you enjoy a campfire like this. With deer meat and all that, maybe some rabbit. You just got a couple more years to go and then you'll be able to join Papa. So, love you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Well, welcome back. I guess this is going to have to wrap up this video on out in the swamp, cooking deer steaks and all that. I am going to cook my deer steaks and I'm going to have my baked potato. But the problem that I've run into is that I grabbed the wrong memory cards today in my camera. I thought I had 32 gigabyte cards. My camera takes 2 cards. The yellow light just flashed on that I have 5 minutes left on the cards. So I apologize for that, and we will have to cook some deer steaks another time. So Again, I apologize, and I will have to see you on the next one. And this will wrap up this video on cooking deer steaks.